Perfect. So as I said, this is week 4. We're going to be talking about sales and biz dev, right? The first 3 weeks are all about setup because it doesn't do you any good to start trying to sell things, start trying to build relationships, start trying to do all this marketing if you don't know what you're really offering. Because if you're offering 10 things, that means every single thing becomes 10 times as laborious because you have to go do it for each line, each idea. So the more focused you can be, especially now, of course, the better. So you've seen this slide before, but again, there's like 1,000 little things in startup land, but the big things that need to be done are pretty repetitive, but it's about, do you really appreciate them, right? Could you explain it to another founder? Could you help someone, right, that's in your circle? If not, it probably means there's more to be learned. That's at least how I approach stuff. So you've seen go-to-market before. Go-to-market is just that. How do you go to market? How do you bring your product into the world? Again, there's a lot of ways to split it. Alex Hormozy does it this way, and this person does that. I think about it like this. Sales, marketing, biz dev. I'm either trying to sell it directly, the product, the service, the this, the that. I'm trying to market it, meaning I'm trying to do either like brand development or performance marketing, where I'm trying to, build awareness, or I'm trying to like get conversion. And then you've got biz dev, which is every manner of partnership and opportunity and referrals. There's a lot of ways to do it. And each one, works in its own way. Certain ones are more applicable for certain businesses. Certain businesses excel in certain ones. So it could be that if you're insert generic consumer business, maybe all three work, right? But maybe you really shine in marketing because that's what you know how to do, etc. Great. It's not about passing a judgment. It's about figuring out what works for you, what works for your company, what's something you can stay consistent on. Sales, just like anything else, is a game of consistency. If you're really consistent with things, you will win. The world will get out of your way. But if you're not, and if you keep changing the message 100 times, you change the audience 100 times, you continue to change these variables instead of sharpening this one sword, what happens? It's 6 months later, and it's the same business. Right? You could go out materially, and again, it's a different world. If you spent 30 days just gathering leads and leads and leads, and you had that much demand, I bet next month would be different. I bet the things you'd think, the actions you would take, everything would be different. But if you test and test and test and never take that next leap, you live the same month over and over and over again. You've seen this before, but again, we're going to be even more specific to make sure we're clear. TAM is the full market. That's everybody. That's the product at scale. That's all your wildest dreams coming true, right? Your SAM, that's your geographically constrained market. So it's like, hey, we want to help the world, but we're starting with the US, right? That's our main focus area. Perfect. Third is SOM, which is based off your resources. So based off where we want to be, where we want to aim, how much money, how much capital we have access to, how much our resources reach, right? That's how much we can do. And your early adopter market, these are the people that will take the worst functioning product. These are the people that everybody has been an early adopter where, have you ever purchased something knowing it wasn't a great purchase, but knowing that you still needed it anyway? Because it just got the job done that you needed, whether it was something for the home or a car or an iPhone case. You're like, I hate this, but I'm going traveling and I need the case because I don't want to drop my phone, whatever. That is an early adopter, right? Fundamentally, not because you are overwhelmed, with how excited you are, but because, hey, you had to get it. You were that first market, right? The market with the highest pain point. These are good things. Now, the real thing, people always tell me, Aaron, but I got to get out there. I got to do this. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I totally agree. But do you have 500K annually locked down? Because markets are very big. Right? There are minimum tens of thousands of people in anyone's market in terms of like people that are easily accessible that are around. 10,000 people, depending on how you slice it, or 100,000 people or whatever it is can easily get to 500K a year in revenue. And you go like, well, that's not that much. It's like, okay, if you had an extra $42,000 a month, how different would your business be? How different would your hiring be or the opportunities be? Probably pretty substantial. Which means you don't have to concern yourself with 99.9% of the market to change your entire life, to change everything about your business, to have a completely different 4Q. We're running into 3Q right now, right? It's like Before Q can be different, or it can be the exact same. And there's plenty of room here. Because remember, that's the first 500,000. There's easily $1 million, $2 million, $3 million. That's 42,000 a month. That's 84,000 a month. That's 124,000 a month. It's like it just keeps going so much higher, and that's so much opportunity. Before you have to go to 100 states and 100 markets, it's like crush right here, right here. This is about that laser focus. So many people, what's the saying? They'll step over $1 to pick up a penny. It's like you keep running around the planet trying to sell all these things, but if you just lean in really heavy, you can get a lot done.
Mm-hmm. About the song. I know the same song. My song is like current resources. When we're building our pitch deck, I was so confused. I know it's current, whatever we afford, but is there time frame for it? Like it's years?
So it's a good question, and I'll just repeat it for the recording. So, what does it mean by SOM, and how can you time box it? The easiest way that I think about it is the next 6 to 12 months. Where if I was talking with someone, call it an investor, call it any one friend, and they go, who are you going to capture? What does the pie chart of your customer look like a year from now? Who's going to be 51%? Who's going to be 33%? It's like, oh, I expect men between 25 and 35 to be over 50% of my market. It's like, great. That's what I want the SOM to be, and 12 months from now, I'm going to go, how many men do you have that are 25 to 35? How right were you? How wrong were you? The right answer is any version of, oh, we had the number grow, and either we had the same amount of men or we had tons of women, because nobody really cares as long as the growth is still happening. The wrong answer is, oh, we got a good amount of men. How many? 10. It's like, it's been a year. I'd rather you have 10,000 women and come back wrong, but notice this is kind of the balance, right? Of you don't want to go for your keys to save yourself in a car accident. It's like you got to have the right priorities. You got to live long enough. So, continuing. So this is a little more of an intro to now the topic specifically itself about sales and biz dev, and what do I mean by them. Again, sounds very simple, sounds very easy. People get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to master these skills. So little things can be very hard to master. Easy to pick up, hard to master. The elements of any perfect game. Sales, direct revenue generation. That's where I always encourage 99% of founders to focus for 99% of their business. Not because I think it's scalable, not because I think your consumer goods product doesn't need to go to millions of people, but rarely am I talking to the founder, again in this context, who already has the 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 founders or customers. They're dealing with the 0 to 5 to 10. And the people that have tens of thousands of customers, they think in terms of percentages. Like, I want to increase by 20%, 30%. People that have no customers think in terms of tens of thousands of customers. It's the classic, the more you know, the more humble you get, because the more you realize you don't know. So this is the same kind of idea. The reason people in sales, like, they have these big lofty targets, but they'll hedge them 100 times, is because they know how hard it is to get the first one. That's why, ignorance is bliss, because if you knew how hard it was to get a sale, you probably never do sales. But sales can be done. Absolutely. They're done all over the place by people with a worse product and a worse pitch and worse resources than you every day, right? That's just the way the world works. Business development is all about the partnerships. It's the opportunities. It's the extra stuff, right? I think about it in terms of two camps. One is, how do I get more customers through relationships? How can I meet someone that directly or indirectly can connect me to more of the people that I wish to serve? This is a good biz dev partner. It could be, again, let's imagine me as like a startup consultant, or a small business consultant to make it even easier. Who do I want to meet? Community leaders in the small business space, right? Chambers of commerce, right? Other educators in complementary fields. Notice how I'm thinking about who else would my customer be in front of regularly? Who else that's non-competing would be in front of my customer? Because I'd rather than go talk to the finance person, maybe I go talk to the marketing person and go, hey, I deal with a lot of people that are at this stage and this and this and this. You deal with a lot of people that deal with probably this and this. Why don't we swap business, right? Why don't we make some referrals back and forth? And is this a guarantee? No. Has it happened? Yes. Have I done it dozens of times? Yes. It's one of those, but those dozens of successes in terms of relationships were built off of 100 conversations, right? It's not that you just met 12 people, built 12 great relationships, started getting referrals every month. It's like, how'd you become friends with your close friend? I bet there were ups and downs and everything else. Now we're talking money and an economy and all kinds of stuff. There's going to be ebbs and flows. But this is the long term. BizDev not only says, how can I get more customers? But it also goes, where is the industry growing and going? And who do we want to be aligned with? And you don't think about it until it's 3 years later, 4 years later, and you want to be acquired. Sometimes it can be very helpful to be building with the intention of being purchased, because then you start paying attention to the world versus going, I'm just going to focus on my own little thing. And if you never intend on selling, you never have to worry. But if you do intend on selling or considering it, it can be very helpful. We've talked about this as well. This is the perfect sales process, right? And it's a question. Do you do this in your sales process? And sales is everything. It's just getting to the close, right? But fundamentally, do you prospect? Do you think about who to target, right? If I could put you in front of the biggest audience that you want to target, right? People that make up 51% of your market, who would it be? Could you prospect them? 2 is initial contact. Do you know how they want to be spoken to? Do you know what tone of voice? Do you know if they want an in-person education? Do you know if they want digital LinkedIn outreach? Do you know if they want casual, if they want formal? You know, some people, it can be formal, but then you come in casual and it upsets things to the positive or to the negative. You have to think about, what does the room, what does your audience really want, right? Example, imagine if I was like Joe Startup, but I was wearing a 3-piece suit every day. It's like, yeah, the suit would look nice, but it wouldn't actually match the audience. It wouldn't match who I'm talking to, people that are really scrappy, digging in. And I've been to tons of events where the person presenting was in a 3-piece suit, and every founder had 2 thoughts. 1, I hope they're an investor. 2, I doubt they're a founder, right? Like, they're not connected. It felt like a planet was in between because of the outfit. Not the energy, not the this, but because of the outfit. That's part of, again, understanding the market. Needs assessment. Do you know what your customer needs? You know why you think your business is valuable. Do you know why your customer cares about your offering? Could you explain it how they would explain it? Notice when I talk about Microsoft, I don't talk about the value. I just go, oh yeah, I needed a computer, or Lenovo, I needed a computer, so I went and I bought one. They make great quality computers and seemed like a fair price. I've always had good quality from them. Purchased. Notice none of that's about the business value to, we provide excellent computing, enabling the world's next workforce. It's like, no. It's just, sometimes people need computers at fair prices that are professional. Let's be the one that facilitates it. Demo presentation. How do you introduce your business? Now, this is a very common one because, of course, lots of people, you're always telling people about your business. But how often are you pitching them, meaning tell me my idea is good, versus going, hey, what do you think about this? What do you feel? What are the pros and the cons? The example I would give is if you went to an open house, right? If they only tell you good things, right, or you only notice good things, there's probably bad things as well, right? It's the people that can acknowledge and say, oh no, it doesn't do this, but it does that. Saying a no can often instill a lot more trust because then you're not just the classic yes man, right? This comes from how you demo it, how you present it, whether you go into specifics, and again, this is a big one for how your customer wants to be spoken to. Some customers, right, could be the same type of audience. They don't want any sort of sales pitch. They want information, they want to know the features, and they want to get out because they just have needs. Think like you're selling to a developer at 3 a.m. They're like, hurry it up. Like, I want to make the purchase, I want to go. Other people, they want to shop with a friend, right? Think like fashion. Oh, how does this look? And does this fit right? And like, do the browns match on my belt versus my shoes? Like, all these things that people think about and they chat and notice, that's a whole experience. That's a customer that wants to go through a process, not someone that's just going, I need this solution, I'll pay anything to get it, give it to me now, right? And until you're at that $500,000, $1 million a year run rate, we want to pursue those customers with high need, because guaranteed you've bumped into people that are lukewarm on your business and people that are red hot on your business. And I bet your pitch wasn't very different, which means only one thing changed: who you were talking to. And a lot of people will keep talking to a rock, begging it to become an egg. And there's eggs everywhere around them. But you have to pay attention. And you have to, again, fight the fights that are worth fighting. Sometimes a good, big, amazing customer with a great brand, it's worth dealing with how annoying they are to get them because you want the brand. But oftentimes it's not. And you're never going to be winning because of one customer, no matter how big the customer is. A lot of people want to like hang their flag on one customer and use that for the rest, like, or the brand or the this. Like, if I can only just get them. If they're just one of the rest, right? And it's not a bad thing to be one of the rest, because it's like one of the rest that we treat with the highest standards possible. But it's not we're over focusing on them to the point of destroying the opportunity. It's a bad thing. Managing your objections, and this is true with every sales process, just like anything else, whether it's sales or biz dev, which are both the same thing. One, I'm selling you on the close of the product. The other, I'm selling you on the close of our relationship or the next step in it. So it's all the same. Now you get to managing objections. People have objections. They have questions, even if it's simple as price, even if it's as complex as what's the difference from this to the competitors to the this to the that. This is a great reason to really understand your competitors, because remember, your customer does. So if you go out there and you go like, hey, you should buy this because it does this, that, and the other, it's like, oh, well, doesn't that other company do something similar? Or I've used this one for a while, so I don't know, like, why would I use yours? Customers, remember, they're not excited. You're convincing them to do something new, unless they have a pain point. This is why pain is helpful, because when you're in pain, you're looking for a solution. When something's an opportunity, right? There's always an opportunity to go gamble. We're not all gambling right now, right? Because sometimes the opportunity isn't worth the squeeze. But if you're in pain, or you're annoyed, or you're frustrated, generally speaking, you're going to pursue some sort of solution. That's why it can be very helpful to dial into those areas, because then it's just looking for pain. Great. Now I got to find the audience with the most consistency showing that pain point. And I'm going to go test them and say the same thing over and over and over until I sharpen that conversation, where I go, oh, if I meet somebody that's a male age 25 to 35, there's about a 50 to 75% odds I can do X. I can get their info, I can progress the convo, I can whatever it is. But notice there's a focusing of it done by repetition. And again, you'll notice I didn't write a script here, because there isn't a script. The script is, what have you been telling people, right? How would you describe your business? What does the customer get out of your business? Imagine you couldn't address, we do X for Y. It's like, no. How would a customer describe you? They'd go, oh, I love that platform. That platform does this, which lets me, and then I get whatever. It's like, oh, I love Amazon, or I love eBay. That platform lets me sell stuff when I'm moving to people on the internet easily and efficiently. It's the best. That's how I want you to think about it, because that's how the customer will think about it, right? And then notice how the ads write themselves, whether it's business development, sales, whatever. Are you moving? Got something to sell? Try eBay. Make life easy. It's like, there's an ad campaign, but it came from a customer. It came from real words, from an experience. And closing the sale. Closing is not one step. Closing is a series of little steps. It's like a closing process is like 10 things added up all at once. That is, you negotiate the terms. So it's like, what does this cost? How am I paying for it? What's the timeline, the restrictions, etc. You have to sign, right? Meaning whether it's collect their credit card info, get the legal documents reviewed and signed, whatever. Then you have to invoice them, and that's a huge gap, because just because someone signed, especially if you're doing B2B business, it could be a few weeks or a few months after the invoice hits before the money comes. And then number 4, payment received. And there's a bunch of little steps in between, follow-ups and check-ins and Q&A and blah, blah, blah. But notice it's not just, oh, the customer said we wanted it, we're good. It's like, that's like the beginning. It's like the equivalent of going up to plate. It's like, great, now you're up. But the customer said they wanted it. The customer hasn't negotiated, signed, been invoiced, or paid. So the best that you have right now is a signal. And I wish more people appreciated that, because if they did, that would lead to less accounts receivable. More businesses are owed more money because they either take too long to invoice, forget to collect, because they assume, oh, I've sent the customer the invoice. But have you done the follow-up repetitiously and make sure they pay when it's due and remind them of late fees and do this and do that? Because if you haven't, you're out money. You need to finish delivering the service until, that is when the money is finally earned. Until that point, you're still selling. We sell until we get the money. Business development. So again, business development, what are our goals? What are our thoughts? One is networking. That's going out in the world, being at general events, specific events, and everything in between, meeting people that are or could be relevant. Just because someone's not relevant today doesn't mean they're not relevant tomorrow. Just because someone isn't relevant today doesn't mean their buddy isn't relevant today. It costs nothing to be nice to people and very curious. Whenever I go to events, my goals are very simple. I want to meet a few people. I want to learn about them, their network, their goals, their things, because what if there's something that connects to me that I can connect to them, and have a good time. Because if I go and be nice to people, because if I go in with that, there's no downside to any event ever. In fact, every event is just like going mining, where it's like, how efficient was today's mine? Oh, today I met 3 people and had 2 good chats, and 1 person was full of it, but that's the way it goes. 66%, great. Other times you go out, and guess what? It's Miami happy hour, and every single person is just selling you a crypto scam. We've been there, right? Then you try the next day, and you try the next day. But notice, Tuesday's event did not change Wednesday's outcome. When I first moved here, I would schedule hundreds of Zooms and phone calls, and I swear maybe 33% wouldn't show up. So you have to imagine that. Imagine having 10 phone calls a day, and 3 of them don't show up, and your calls are back to back because I'm just jamming them all in, which means I'm sitting there, because again, it's not like I can hang up because I'm trying to build the network. I'm desperate enough to wait on the phone. So wait for 30 minutes in silence, brand new call, and have to be peppy and excited like I wasn't just sitting there waiting for someone that didn't come, only for the next call for someone not to come. And then you do that on Monday, and then you do that on Tuesday, and then you do that on Wednesday, and you do it over and over and over. But you know what happens after a while? One, you start to get very numb to it, so you can do a lot more sales. But more than anything, you start to filter out and look for signs and signals of who's real. I know who's real in my market. I know who are real entrepreneurs that really want it, that really care about their customer, that really do all these things. I probably can't spot your customer that well. I don't have enough data. I haven't had as many conversations as you. So I have to lean on that. But you don't get that knowledge unless you go network, unless you put yourself in the room. It can be very easy to convince yourself that you're a genius about your business if you never leave your room. You get to understand to the benefit how ignorant you are by being in the world, or sometimes how ignorant the world is. I know a lot of people that what they're selling is hard to explain, but to them they think it's really easy. And I go, great, let's go to an event. I want you to just tell random people that are drinking whiskey sours what you do, and let's see if they understand. And then they struggle. It's like, yeah, because the average person, regardless of how smart or dumb they are or anything in between, what if they're just not that interested, right? What if your sales pitch is a little rough, right? What if you don't know the right words to describe it that emotionally connect them? There are so many things that could or should be done in this way, but if you don't expose yourself to that ignorance, you're going to walk around being very convinced that you know things, and then your sales will show otherwise. And that's not what I want, right? I want you to be as ignorant as possible early, reduce it over time, and turn that lapsed ignorance into revenue, into knowledge, into customers. But unless you're willing to be ignorant, you can't not be ignorant. It's just what is it? I forget what movie it is, but it's like, in order to be good at something, the first thing you have to do is be bad at something. So be willing to be bad at sales so you can be good at sales. Be willing to be bad at networking so you can be good at networking. No one will remember. Trust me, I was horrible at networking. I still networked, and I still met like everybody. And it's like, yeah, because you just keep showing up with the right attitude. Conferences and events. I'm always about these things. Not because I want to spend every single day outside of my house. I like being in my room. It's nice. There's air conditioning. But more than anything, you get exposure to random ideas. I find that I like to go to general conferences because those are places like general, meaning within my industry, general. But then I'll also be very specific. So it's like, oh, I want to go to the general tech conference, but I also want to go to the esports conference because, yeah, I like tech, and what if I learn something from the ag tech people or the crypto tech people or the presenter that when I walk into the Web3 or the esports conference, suddenly I'm a cut above because I know new things. I'm bringing new ideas. And what if I learn something niche there that I bring back to the rest of the world? I find that it's good to do the dance. If you're too in your industry, you kind of become ignorant to the world. But if you're too in the world, you miss out on some of the nuances in your industry that will connect you to it, right? Everybody wants a we. It's one of the biggest tips I can give for business development. The sooner it's we helping our customer, we're on the same team. You know, you and I, those are opposing teams. That sounds like negotiation, sounds like war. But the second that I get on the phone and it's like, this is what we need to do and we should do this. And again, you don't want to do this the first conversation, the first sentence, but the second it's about us helping the customer, well, only thing we care about is doing a fair deal, right? Because we're focused on the customer. And that's how you get deals done quick, because it's not, hey, let me negotiate you with like 1,000 hours. Let's make sure we're both legit and let's go do what we do, which is help our customer. These contracts and negotiations in between, we just got to get them done. Because that's what we have to do. Not because they're the critical, most pressing, most interesting thing. I find that if the work is the focus, it's probably a bad focus. The work is just a thing to get done for the outcome. We want more customers, we want better product, we want more efficient operations, fundamentally. Anything that doesn't contribute to one of those three things, unless we have to do it, like a legal, like an HR, like a whatever, functionally it's a waste of time, right? Marketing funnel. So you'll notice I bring up marketing at the end because we talked about sales, then we talked about biz dev, then we talked about marketing. Because it can be very easy to just go, I'm just going to go market and that'll work. It will not work. It generally doesn't work, right? Unless you've got serious dollars, serious creativity, you know, you're 16 years old and willing to post 100 things on TikTok until you blow up. Like, if you're willing to go the distance, marketing will work. But if I'm talking to you and you go, oh, I post once a week and I struggle to do it and it's difficult, probably not going to work. And it's not me telling you, look at your schedule. It's you telling you through me, right? But if I walk over and I go, how's your marketing? How's this? You're like, oh, I post videos online all the time. I love doing it. I do. It's like, oh, you should probably lean into marketing because most people never want to do what you love to do. You should triple down on it. Still do everything else. But marketing is a great place to be if you have the knowledge and interest. If you're twisting your arm every day to do it, it's a bad place to waste a lot of time. Few pieces to marketing. Again, the areas that I focus on. One is the content and engagement. If you're not creating things that are interesting, whether it's resources, information, sharing knowledge, especially if you're in a business where knowledge is valuable, you knowing things is helpful. There's a reason why lawyers and accountants and finance people and real estate people, they all post a lot because their whole goal is, I want to be a thought leader. I want people to see me as smart. If I'm seen as smart, guess what they're going to do? Trust me with their business. Once they trust me, they'll do business, I'll get the cred, and then we keep pushing this forward. But notice it starts from a premise of, what does the audience want? Now, notice we're kind of in the mid-game of this. You go on LinkedIn and there's 1,000 pieces of content, right? But notice you still discover people, right? There's an excuse, and it truly is an excuse where people go, it's too late on the content game, or it's too late on the sales game, or it's too late. It's like, there's someone that you will know about that's famous at like a small level that you will know about next week, next month, next year that you don't know about today. And that could be you. That could be you to your customer. So where you are today, every account that has a million, bazillion, trillion followers started with 5 or 10. And then they just nailed it over and over and over again. Funnel stages. It can be a little, again, it's one of those, you want to start with the right place. You can have the best pickaxes in the world, but if your mountain doesn't have any iron, bad place to be, right? Sometimes the prep is good, but it's only worth prepping if it's worth prepping for, right? So in the same way, funnels are amazing, but if you spend 6 weeks building a funnel instead of building content, I like dealing with pressure. I like when a business responds to pressure. Here's the example. You go, Aaron, I created 30 pieces of content over the last month. I have people nonstop clicking and liking, but I haven't gotten any of their info. I feel like I'm losing money. I go, wow, sounds like you're under pressure. Sounds like you're getting pressure from your customer. Sounds like you're going, hey, people want what I'm offering, but I'm not getting it enough. That is a wonderful reaction, because now what does that inspire? I got to capture these leads better. Efficiencies. You start going, how do I improve my business? How do I improve what's working? Not how do I get something working? How do I go raise $500,000 to start something that isn't working yet? You're capitalizing on environmental and situational pressures. You're letting the market drive you, your customer drive you. That is a really good way to live, right? Especially imagine if your to-do list was set on you fixing the problems as your business went right. Like, oh man, our HR is getting hard to manage and I can't finalize this person. These are luxuries of problems because they happen after there's sales, after there's marketing, after there's demand. That's why again, the first 3 sessions are all about preparing for this, because this is it. This is the money, right? Fundamentally. Once we start bringing in money, not every business will be a $100 million business, but most businesses can make a couple $100,000 a year. There are rock businesses selling pet rocks that make 6 figures. It's probably 7 figures a year. So until it's a 6 or 7 figure business, that's when I start to go, okay, how big could it get and how much do we want to sell for, blah, blah, blah. But until it's got, 6 figures and whatnot, we have work to do, and we need to focus on the sales part of it. Measurement and optimization. If we don't measure, we can't know. It's easy to go, I posted 30 videos last week. It's like, great. Well, which of those did well? Do you notice that you do better or poorly if you post more or less? And again, these are the most basic ones where it's not like read and analyze every single piece of content. It's like, no, how many clicks, how many likes, how many links, like from the basic internal Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn analytics, just looking directly at them. Are you seeing the numbers go the direction that you should? And if not, it's a question of what should you do different? It's easy to blame the market. And often, sometimes, it is the market's fault. But we can't change that. The only thing we can do is go, great, the market sucks. How do we adapt to a sucky market? I'd prefer that, because then at least you still win at the end of that. The other way, we just kind of go, and that's not good. Any questions so far? Perfect. So you'll notice we come to this slide again. Why? Because it really matters. Again, it doesn't have to change that much for it to be really important, but a different focus. So you'll notice buying motivations and pain points are still in red. Why? Because they'll never not be important. Never, ever, forever, ever in the history of ever, when we talk about your business, I want to know why someone cares. I split this. There's me, the consultant. I care why you care about your business, right? This is me over here. Good. Now let's talk about the one that makes you money. This is me, the non-consultant. I don't care what you think about your business at all. I care what your customer thinks about your business. Because if you think you've got a winner and none of your customers want your product, you have a loser. And it's not me. I don't want that. This is not me saying you stay that way. This is me going, no, sometimes we have to recognize that we're at the back of the pack in order to get to the front of it. This is part of that whole experience. So that's why I always want to know, why do they care? I know why you care. You can help people and make money and build a legacy. Check. Why does the customer care? Motivations, meaning I'm excited, I really want this. Things they aspire for, right? That's like the good to better. Pain points. This sucks. Whether it's emotionally, financially, it's annoying, right? From like an admin perspective, whatever it is, knowing those things is always number one when it comes to sales. Because if you don't know what your customer cares about, why are you talking to them? Unless your questions are, I need to learn. Like if the goal is I need to learn it, great. You should do customer discovery. You should go in very ignorant and ask questions with a genuine open mind. But once you have that knowledge, speak to them how they want to be spoken to. The other 3 are the ones that I want to just note here today, because these are the ones that matter more on the sales and biz dev side. First is preferred channels. It's not up to you to tell your customer where they are. Where are they, right? Are they online or are they in person? Are they on LinkedIn or Instagram, Facebook, right? Are they professional or casual? And there's gradients to all of these things, but once you pick these things, you know where your customer is, right? If I'm dealing with big fancy private equity people, guess what? I know they're at events, that have finance in the name that are near the beach. And guess what? I've gone to hedge fund, a meeting, of finance, and guess where it was? On Miami Beach. It's like, yeah, shocking, right? But then I message founders, right? And you know where I go to them? LinkedIn. Because every founder's on LinkedIn because they're trying to build their presence, they're trying to connect with investors. So I go, oh, well, where do founders go? Well, founders want investors, and the easiest way to do that besides in-person networking events is reaching out on LinkedIn. They want that. Notice I'm just thinking about what they want. I want them. I'll go where they live. I'm going to go to LinkedIn. Notice I didn't come up in the equation at all. I focused only on them. Where do they go? What do they want? Where are they? I should go there. I come in at the very end. And notice I benefit the most from all this, right? But it's by putting yourself last, you put yourself first, fundamentally. Purchasing power. Got to price things right. Whether it's the attention, meaning how long between ads, whether it's usage, meaning if I said, what is an active user on your platform? Some people, an active user, if you're not logging into Instagram every day, you're not active, right? Other platforms, if you log in once a week, you're a super user. Now, if someone only logs in once a week, how much are they willing to spend for that? Well, if it's like an operations tool that they know saves them hundreds of, hours, dollars, whatever, maybe it's a couple $100. If it's a tax thing they have to do once a year, but it saves them $500,000, they'll definitely do it, right? And they'll pay any amount. So notice it's about value capture, not just frequency. It's not like, oh, they use more, they'll pay more. None of us would pay very much to use Instagram. We use Instagram all the time. Notice where the value is. The value capture is, Instagram goes, if I make them pay for like access, not just like premium access for access, I'm going to have less customers. The more rich resource, the thing that they can convert better is attention. They go, give it to them for free, because we can turn the eyes, the time they spend looking at it, into money more efficiently than we can turn them into money. We can go to the businesses and go, don't you want them? We've got 500,000 of them. Versus, hey, we have you. Do you want to spend, $1 a month? And 90% of them say no, right? So notice, you're still trying to make money. It's the same relationship, but sometimes who you charge and how you charge, the purchasing power and the purchasing framework, this can change your entire business. There are $100 million businesses that make $1 million a year because they're priced wrong, because their customer can't afford them or thinks they're inaccessible. How many businesses built in a SaaS component shortly after people started, loving the timeline of SaaS? How many one-time fee businesses went from one-time fees to recurring revenues, and their businesses went up and skyrocketed 20, 30, 50, 100% revenue growth? The offering didn't change, but they're like, this lowers the burden for our customer, and they're going to stay on it longer because rather than one charge of 100, I can just do 12 charges of $9.99 a month. So I just grew my customer revenue 20% by simply changing how I charge them money. That means a lot, right? And it doesn't mean a lot right now when you don't have tons of sales, but the second you have a few sales, you have 5 sales for 500, you're going to start going, man, how could I have done 5 sales for 1,000? I go, how could you have? What is your customer receptive to? Do you know how they like to be billed? If you were to ask them and be like, hey, paying for stuff like this, or ask them something tangential, hey, do you have any apps that you pay for on your phone? And they go, oh, yeah. And I go, how do you, if you don't mind me asking, we're doing all this research and stuff, and notice you can give really general questions like that. I do that all the time. I'm just doing some research for a thing. Question, how do you prefer to pay for it regularly or in one bulk thing? And then whatever they said, they're like, oh, I prefer the bulk thing. I would just go, why? Wouldn't presume, wouldn't lead on, wouldn't whatever, because I want to hear what they have to say. I want to hear them go, it's just way more efficient. I just like a lifetime thing. I don't want to forget a subscription, blah, blah, blah. Tired of forgetting subscriptions, looking for a one-time fee, da-da-da-da-da. But notice, I didn't write that. The customer did. I was just there really listening and trying to learn. Last is decision maker. Easy example here, you're creating an app for kids. But guess what? Who needs to sign off? The parents. So the kid may be the value receiver, right? But the parent is the decision maker. The same way, right, there's tons of businesses where you engage with one party but you're really trying to sell another. That's like the relationship of, let's just say, child and parent. Another example would be you meet someone and you want to create sales software, so you talk to a sales associate. Yeah, but the sales associate's opinion isn't what matters. It's the head of sales, right? The COO, the CTO, the head of that department's technology. This is the person that you need buy-in from. But maybe the first step is you have to get buy-in from the sales rep so that way they introduce you to the manager, which means maybe you have to learn to speak sales rep and speak manager. Because notice, two different audiences, maybe they speak two different languages. So then you have to go to, all right, I got to speak to sales enough to get them to management, then I can talk to management, then I can close management. That might be the path, because right now you can't get straight to management because your LinkedIn isn't super strong. Notice I didn't make an excuse. It wasn't my LinkedIn's weak, I can't get to management. You can wear them down like the ocean wears down the beach. There is no door that is permanent. Trust me. Common KPIs. So again, we saw some of this before. Still really matters. 1, conversion rate. If you were, and think about this at every level. Remember, sales is just closing based off a goal. If your goal is to do business development, sales. If your goal is to do lead generation, sales. If your goal is to do customer discovery, meaning go have conversations with people, booking the meeting to have the convo is sales, right? Here's an easy example of sales. A friend of mine, one of my best friends, his girlfriend, reached out and said, hey, she's a PhD, and she goes, hey, I need to do some research. I'm looking to meet with people that have experience in corporate world and in small business world. Do you know anybody? That was business development, right? Because who did she reach out to? Me. She wasn't reaching out just generally, right? She reached out to me, and I went, oh yeah, let me reach out. I reached out to like 4 people. I had all her meetings booked, scheduled within like 2 hours. This is something that should have taken her weeks, and she should have struggled with because her like boss just gave her a vague assignment. Hey, I want 5 more interviews or whatever. She got it done in 2 hours. Why? Because she texted the right person with the right energy. She's my buddy's girlfriend. I would do anything that she needed, right? Just automatically. And she went to me with the right ask of, oh, do you know 5 people in your network? It's like, oh yeah, I do, of course. Let me make a few calls. And everybody I reached out to, because thankfully I have good relationships with them and have been nice, they responded almost instantly. Yes, I'd love to help. Your buddy's girlfriend needs help? Whatever you need. And it's not like I paid them money. I literally just said, hey, will you help my buddy's girlfriend? Notice how just the chain of relationships there turned something that could have been weeks, could have been tons of phone calls. It turned it into 2 text messages. That's your business as well. Without a doubt. Because I've received business just like that by reaching out to the right person who maybe I've never even talked business to really. There's been a lawyer, when I first moved to Miami, one of my lawyers that I work with right now, we would just go to events all the time together. And eventually we were just like, hey, do you want to start Ubering to events? I think we live both in downtown. Start Ubering to events. Again, no like crazy business talk. And then one day I went, hey, by the way, I don't know if you ever work with any founders. I know you do more like internet stuff. But if you happen to across anybody, here's my Calendly link. Intro. And that same link has been used for years. He just bookmarked it. But because he knew I wasn't an idiot, knew I knew what I was doing, and then had the easy, effortless ability to introduce me. Because notice, whenever he wanted to intro me, all you do is go, book time on his calendar, copy, paste. I made his job easy. Notice how my friend's girlfriend made my job easy. Here's exactly who I'm looking for. Here's exactly why I want them. Can you help me? Figure that out for yourself. What is that phrase for you? Because I guarantee there are 5 to 10 people in your network that there are things you absolutely need, not want, the things that if you were sitting with me, right, and we were really grinding through it, that you would really need. You could send 1 to 5 messages and you would have them within a week. I guarantee it. People know people, right? And is it perfect? No. Is it mean you're going to get everything within a week? No. But there are problems that can be solved really quickly if you just attack them properly. Sales cycle, LTV, CAC, nothing exciting here, but the big thing that I like to focus on is sales cycle more than LTV and CAC. LTV is good to know because how much is the average customer worth for you? CAC's good to know because, of course, if you only make $1,000 on a customer, but it costs you $5,000 to get them, you shouldn't get that customer. You should get other customers that can pay you more, right? Or you should improve where you're getting the customers from. Because at that point, I start to go, are my customers paying the max and I'm just bad at getting them? Or are customers paying far less and I just need to find the right customer? But notice I look at it both ways. I don't just assume, oh, they're a good customer. Why would I assume that? What do I know? I don't have $100 million in revenue for this specific business under my belt. I can't say that for certain. Amazon can make any claim about any customer it wants. I trust their data. For us, until you have tens of millions of transactions of revenue under your belts, we're just learning. It's like a doctor. We're just practicing. Oh, the one thing on sales cycle that really does matter, cash flow. If it takes you a long time to close someone, and then if it takes you a long time to collect the cash, if it takes you 3 months to close them and their pay cycle is 3 months, you closed them in January, you saw your first dollar in July, the rent was due in May. Hard, right? This is why it matters, because you have to play the timing game. Account for everyone being late, for every excuse to be valid, for there to be a hurricane and a holiday back to back. That's just the way it goes, right? Always. But if you plan properly, you can win. As an example, something that's good for everybody to do at some point, have a second bank account. And everyone goes, well, why should I do that? My bank's not going to collapse. I have Chase. It's like, oh, can Chase not get cyber threats? Can Chase not have weird system-wide failures? I'm not saying that every bank in the country couldn't go down, but it sounds like a lot of confidence in one thing, right? Really good businesses, when they start planning their risk, they put 3 to 6 months of capital in another bank because they're just going, hey, what if something horrible happens at the first bank? We cannot die because we didn't plan ahead. This is an example of planning ahead, right? And it applies to so much. Sales cycle length planning is another example. That's how you don't close a bunch of deals on paper, pour in the bank, and then you're pulling money out of savings to pay off a $1,000 thing when you have $500K in accounts receivable. But because it's accounts receivable, it's because, you weren't really focused on collecting the money. Because remember, we thought sales ended once they said, I'm sold. Wrong. If we focused on it and knew it didn't end and knew we had to send the invoice and knew we had to follow up and knew we had to collect, then guess what? We'd have the money. And if we had the money, we'd probably have the money a little bit sooner. And then at that point, we wouldn't have the cash flow problem. And it sounds like, Aaron, this is like dominoes and the worst case. No, these are just real phone calls I've been on. These are real things that have happened where sometimes the outcome was good and they could fix it. Sometimes they lost tens of thousands of dollars, and that was the end. I want you guys to win. That's why I bring it up. KPIs for biz dev. Again, lots of ways to slice and dice relationships. I keep it pretty simple. 3 that I focus on. Number of partnership opportunities and official, unofficial, structured, unstructured. Does it work? First and foremost, again, fancy things for fancy people. Big, crazy legal contracts with expectations, wrong. I do all of my biz dev unofficial at first, which means I'm going to try and send you business, send you value ASAP, and let's see how you do the same. Because if I need to have some crazy legal document in place to get the first referral, probably means it's not worth it, especially at the earliest stages. You want collaborative people. At some point in the future, sure, there might be some amazing business that's a huge pain in the ass that makes it worth it to navigate it. I wouldn't fight that fight today because, again, you've all talked to other businesses that were incredibly excited to chat with you. I want you to focus on them and then serve the hell out of them. Partnership flows. Who's giving you the most business? Sounds pretty simple, but it's really easy to have 100 partners and have no referrals. Happens all the time. I would much prefer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 partners, and you consistently get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 referrals from them per week, per month, per whatever. Consistency is more important than volume today. Because if I added, regardless if you're B2C or B2B, if I added 1 new customer every single week, if you're B2B, or 1 new or every single month or every single whatever, that would be material in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks today. Maybe in 2 years, it doesn't add anything, but today it means something because at a minimum, hey, you got 5 extra customers. That should be 5 extra case studies because those are 5 things that we can absolutely nail and then put those in front of 100 other customers. And now that conversion rate that was 10% is now 30%. It's like, oh, we didn't get 5 customers to get 5 customers. We got 5 customers to get hundreds later. But the only way we get everybody is by saving these ones. We have to think small to think big, right? So these are common growth hacks. These are things that I like to look at and explore every time I'm building a business and see which are relevant, which make sense for the business, and how to activate them efficiently. And this is the order that I do them in as well. First, community building. Why? Because you can't go back in time, and community takes time. Facebook groups, Instagrams, WhatsApps, text message change, Slack, schools, name your platform, wherever your people are, it takes time to build that community. If there's a community aspect to your business, you should start it today, not tomorrow, today. Because you can start today by going, what should I talk about? What should my post be? What would I be interested in reading? What would my readers care about? Not the generic, let me go to a newsletter and see what they post and post the same. It's like, no, what would someone want that only you could bring in a perfect world? Newsletters, that's a perfect example, because trust me, you don't want to be collecting all the emails you wish you collected 5 years ago right now, because that's thousands of emails that you could have had, that you could have shared, that now you can't. Next, referral programs. Everyone's got a friend. Everyone knows someone like you. Your first customers and your first business partners should be referring you business. If they're not, you should want to know why. Because everyone knows someone that needs something, right, in terms of related to you. And even if it doesn't work, I get intros all the time to people. All the time. My Calendly's on fire, right? Because I like helping people and mentoring. But for me, it's like I get tons of intros, and most of them aren't relevant. Most of them, they don't have budget, or it's not the right fit, or this or that or whatever. But I still get on the calls because I'm trying to discover. And because I know if I turn down referrals from someone, guess what they start to do? Stop sending as many referrals. So I'd rather start figuring it out and then slowly, again, you don't want to be harsh with your biz dev partners, nudge them to get better. Where you go to them and you go, hey, I want to make sure I'm giving you as many people that are a good fit for your side as I can. How have my referrals been? Were there any qualities that you especially noticed that you liked that I should be on the lookout for? And they go da-da-da-da-da. And then what's the next thing they say? What about you? You go, oh, well, now that you mention it, I really like that you did this and this and this. These are the type of people that I would like. But notice, I got what I wanted by first going, what do you want? It pays to play the human game, right? To the reciprocity game, the give a little, ask a little, and then be amazed that a little is all you needed, right? There's a lot that can be done. Content marketing. Content marketing is similar, where it's posting online, posting forums, because it takes time. Some of this stuff you can't just go data dump 30 pages of things and expect to blow up. It's not how it works. I started with like very few followers on LinkedIn. When I first started my LinkedIn, I think even when I moved to Miami, I had less than 500. But just slowly, inch by inch, adding, following, whenever I meet with people, I don't say message me, I go connect with me. I'm at like 6,000 or 7,000 people now. It's like, that is an increase of 5,500 people. And me just going, and I'm not even aggressive with it. If someone was really aggressive trying to grow, you can look at my LinkedIn and you see I don't post hundreds of things. I post when I feel motivated and call it a day. That grew to that. And it's not because I'm the most interesting person in the world by any means, but it's because I got in early and I just kept posting. And one person thought it was interesting and they forwarded it to another, and then there's 3 people. That was 3 people on a Sunday. It doesn't seem like anything, but Sundays happen every week. And the interest, what is it, Einstein, he was even a big fan of interest. Compounding interest. Your money grows your money. Your interest grows your interest. If you can just get started on that wave, you can move mountains with a push. But you've got to get started early. Funnels and landing pages. Notice I start here after I have community, after I have referrals, after I have content out there. Why? Because I want inflow before I build pipes. Pipes are great. Pipes help you make a lot more money. But if you're not pushing water through them, if you're not pushing leads through them, it's a whole lot of work for no money back. Pure investment. I want you to be able to turn it on and see money start flowing instantly. Not go, oh, it's on. Now, that was 6 weeks. That was 8 weeks. Now I'm going to start posting content. And then you post 2 pieces of content and you go, why is anybody in my funnel? It's like, yeah, well, it's like, would you be in your own funnel? It's like, probably not. Probably hasn't even had time to get distributed to everybody in their post. How many times do you go on LinkedIn and you scroll down and you see something post and you like it and you go, oh, that was from a week ago? It's like, yeah, because content gets recycled and churned. This is, again, why it takes time, why it's better to be patient. And here's the reason why you should be patient. Because you have no choice. Because 6 months is still going to pass anyway. And you have a choice. You can either have been patient and started to do some of the things, not even everything. You know me, I'm not about 100 hours a week. I'm not about having crazy standards. Minimum work, maximum value. Then live your life. This is a good one. Partnerships and collabs. Notice where that is. That's later. Why? Because I want to squeeze them, like that part, extra hard later. Referral programs, that's like customer to customer, right? But partnerships and collabs, I want to have some things I can flex. I want to have case studies. I want to have customers that are happy. I want them to go to my website and go, oh, this website looks good. I want them to go to my LinkedIn and see that I have engagement. I don't want to show a partner an empty house and then go, want to come in? It's like, no, there's nobody there. There's nothing there. That's not exciting, right? In the same way, a lot of clients, a lot of people I work with, they go like, I just want to partner with this company. It's like, well, if you were that company, how would you look at you? If you wouldn't look at you as exciting and innovative and worth partnering with, trust that there's someone at least as smart as you at that company, right? And they're going to think the same thing. But if you could convince you, meaning if you came up with a good argument, oh, well, he should want to work with me because I do this and do this and do that, and great. I want it on paper, I want to prove it, and then I want us to go test it. And let's see how convincing you are. Away we go. Influencer marketing. Same premise, just a higher scale. Because once I get an influencer involved, yeah, I can get pushed out to like thousands of people. And influencers are anybody with influence. I'm not talking about the Logan Pauls. I'm talking about if someone talks, does the room get quiet? They're an influencer, right? If someone says, oh, you should talk to this person, and then it happens, they're an influencer, right? Large or small. If they can move a part of your world, they can influence your world, you should like them. Because remember, we're dealing in the 1s and 5s and 10s right now. The last two are a little unique because they require someone already being in your funnel, but they can be helpful. Freemium business models at whatever level. Some people, this is free at the beginning. Some people, this is free forever with paid features. Some people, this is free for like a limited time, full access. There's a lot of ways to do it. And for some people, like my freemium, right, is all the free consulting and coaching that I do. One, it gives me the chance to give back, but it also, think about it, just one, it helps people. I like that. Two, every time I do biz dev and do mentorship and help people, not only does someone get helped, but I just made a friend who I helped for free. And what does that person then go do? They go walk into the world and someone goes, hey, you made progress on your startup. How'd you do it? And they go, oh, I talked to this guy and 30 minutes, we cleared everything up. I was ready to go. They're like, 30 minutes and you were good to go? It's like, kind of, yeah, he talks a lot. It's like, yeah, that is a great thing. Because notice, again, it doesn't have to be a perfect like world for it to be a perfect equation. It's like you can help people and still get something out of it. And notice, everyone's happy. You can give value to your customer and take their money, and it's still okay. It's all a question of, is the value actually provided? Or the example would be, have you ever been sold something cheap that looked expensive? That is the example. It's like, I'm buying this. I thought I was buying something really nice. I thought I was going to get my money's worth. No, I got robbed. The only time you feel like you got robbed is when you feel like you didn't get your money's worth, fundamentally. If you accidentally bought something, and then it turned out like, I bought this fake piece of gold, but it turns out it was real gold. I got robbed. That's never happened, right? So you only feel shortchanged when you feel like there was a disconnect of value. And in-app tactics. The easiest example that I like of this is Gmail, or what was that one where everyone was able to chat? It was before Twitter Voices, Clubhouse, where they did false scarcity, where every time you logged in, certain people had a certain limited number of invites. Why was there a limit? Exactly. Welcome to marketing psychology. Because someone at that company, whether they worked at Google or they just are a fan of marketing psychology, went, oh yeah, our app fits like the perfect profile for it to be like an exclusive type vibe because we have the right amount of influencers, we have this. Let's create a false scarcity where they only have a limited number of invites. Because think about it. If I ask you to refer somebody, you go like, I don't know who I should refer. But if I go, hey, you only have 2 referrals this whole year. You can only refer 2 people to me. You know your first thing you're going to do? Go, damn, who do I refer? It's a human characteristic. This happened way back, if you remember, when you first made your Gmail. When Gmail first came out, the first thing that it did is everyone, and I forget the exact number, it's like 6 or 7, but it's like they gave you up to 6 invites. So that means that on average, every single Gmail then created 6 more. So 1,000 people became 6,000 people, and then 6,000 people told another 6, became 36,000. And this is in minutes. I'm not talking hours, I'm not talking days. Minutes, because it spread like a virus. It's the perfect example of being a node on a network. Because each of you know 10 people. I could give you something right now and say, hey, can you go invite 10 people? And none of your people would overlap. And we just got, 1,000 people on something immediately. But it has to be valuable and it has to be interesting. And what are the odds you all have the right audience? Notice there's all these ifs. But as soon as you solve those ifs, there's 1,000 people of demand sitting right here. Nobody knows it. Key factors when it comes to scale, right? When it comes to sales scale in particular. First and foremost, tech infrastructure. We taught it about this before, but it still matters, right? It's the nice part. Does your website work? Can it handle 1,000 people? Can I click every button on it and nothing works or looks weird? If anything doesn't work or looks weird, fix it or hide it. That would be my recommendation. CRM. CRMs are great. Start with a Google Sheet. Because notice the problem if you walked up to me and you went, man, I have all these customers, but I am struggling to manage this Google Sheet. I would go, this is a great problem. You're in my exact right place. Because guess what? You have a problem that we now improve. We add a CRM. We add some automation. We add some standardization. And what happens? The whole business got better. We're solving by the weakest link, by the squeaky wheel. It's like, what's annoying us right now that we have to deal with? Same thing with email. You don't know that you need to manage your email until your email, when you log in and you go like, oh, every email's unread. Like I have a full wall. There isn't an email that wasn't unread below this. They're all on the next page. When you're hitting those, it's like, all right, we need an admin. We need some automations. We need things to happen. But until then, spending 30 hours trying to automate or improve the efficiency of your Gmail process is not worth it. Create a Google Sheet, pen and paper, whatever it takes, and let's get to selling. Let's get to testing. Negotiate, close, collect. Email I talked about in project management. I recommend checking out a project management tool. The most basic project management tool that we've all used is a to-do list. We start simple. We start the simple, because here's the thing. Master a to-do list. Use the to-do list every day. Show me that you can keep the to-do list organized, because I bet you it'll be harder than you think. It's hard for me to keep my to-do. I have created like 1,000 iterations of my own to-do list, right? And I have like ADD and all this stuff, so I gotta stay organized. Master that, right? And it's never perfect, but I got pretty good systems, but notice, failed, and this didn't work, and that didn't stick. Now I have my stick, right? For me, I use Todoist, which is that little orange app at the bottom. It's the world's best to-do list, in my opinion. That's all of my personal things. If it has to do with personal life, if it has to do with whatever, I put it there. If it has to do with work things, I put it into Monday. So now I know. If I'm having a work conversation, Monday, I just open it up. Something in there is relevant, whether that's where I take notes, that's where I add a to-do list, that's where I do whatever. But if I get on the phone with my mom and she's just talking about random stuff, it's like, all right, to-do list. I can go there, I can add notes, clean this, do that, whatever, right? I organized it in that simple way. Is your grocery list half of your to-do list, half of your product list, half of your customer list? Like, I've seen some pretty nasty folders get brought out, right? So it's like figuring out how to stay organized in the simplest of ways can be incredibly helpful. And there's tons of very cheap or free project management software that'll let you do it. Notion, Trello, Asana, Monday, a really organized, you know what I mean, Apple Notes, whatever it takes, but organization, name of the game. Negotiating, closing, and collecting. Getting the deal done is more important than the perfect deal at this stage. Meaning, if you have to give a discount, give a discount. But don't give a discount so low that you don't make any money, right? Don't do a negative break-even discount. That's bad. Closing a deal is a series of steps. It's again, I try not to make anything too simple. What is it, that Einstein thing? Things should be as simple as they are and no simpler. Sales is not one step. It's a couple different steps that need to be done efficiently together to win. And sometimes it can be done in one sentence. Oh, hey, what are you looking for? Oh, you're looking for this golf club? Oh, we keep our drivers over here. Oh, that's the one you like? Perfect. That's the whole sales process. Discovery, prospecting, validation, facilitating, the demo, the fit. There it is. And it works for, again, the more advanced version. Someone talks to me, oh, you need a financial model? Oh, I build standard startup financial models projected over 3 years that you can bring to an investor pretty easily. Instant, right? And I didn't talk about business and all this other stuff. I just focused on this one need, right? But it could have just as easily been, hey, if you're really struggling with like what to do next in your business and how to plan the next steps of growing your business, I've created dozens of plans that I can help you think through, focused on your product, focused on your go-to-market, and focused on your operations. And if you're interested, notice it's going to click. You're going to go, that's me, right? It can be efficient, but only if you make it efficient. And that comes with knowing it well. Servicing and support. It's good to get a lot of customers. It's bad if quality suffers. If your quality starts to suffer, I'd rather you have less customers and better quality. Because if you piss off a bunch of people and you have more and more customers, you're just making more and more angry Reddit threads. You're just making a lot of angry Facebook posts. Because one person gets mad. And you know what happens? They go post online. You know what someone else does? They go, hey, I'm mad too. I want to like and I want to add my own little input. And then you have a thread where you have to keep clicking and it's just, and it snowballs, right? You say, oh, Aaron, this has never happened. Exactly. It happens to somebody. And the person that it happened to, the business that it happened to, thought exactly like you did until the minute before, right? That's the way it goes. Yes?
How can we be aware and be alert on those negative comments? Because we are not typed in, like the company is not typed everywhere.
Sure.
But probably behind the back, there are lots of negative comments coming up, and this is why the sales are down. But we are not taking up.
You set up a Google alert and follow your keywords.
So there's a lot of ways to kind of monitor your public presence. One is setting up Google, setting up keywords. You can have like Google alert you to things.
When you say Google alert, like every time this name is
Pops up, it'll message you. So that's a good one. It can be a little overwhelming because depending on how many names pop up. The way that I like to think about it is that can be done, but the more important one is managing the relationships where you control them. The example would be if I go to Twitter and I yell at Postmates and Postmates doesn't respond to me, it's like, hey, this is your page, right? And you post every day, right? And you see my tweet, right? Because it's on your public page. Why are you ignoring me? So it's one of those, before I look elsewhere, I go, hey, do you have a company Facebook page? And is every comment, every question, every angry thing, because that's where they'll start, they'll go to where you are those being answered? Because if someone comes to your page and is mad, it's always going to happen. The best case scenario is they're mad and very clear. Because if they come to your page and they just go, you suck, you're terrible. It's like, all right, we're sorry you feel that way. Please reach out, delete. But if they come out and be like, I had a horrible experience with your product. I had this and this. if you can respond quick and fast and show that you really like know what's going on and are very facilitatory, how many stories have you seen, and again, I can just rely on your experience, on Instagram, Facebook, wherever it is, where you saw someone go, hey, this company really treated me well after this like random thing. They're talking about their good customer service experience with a company. We've all, always, we've all seen that. That means that every single one of your customers has seen that too. Remember, we're all just living the same life, right? It's all the same. It's like, yeah, which means when someone goes to your page and you go, I don't really want to respond to that post, respond and engage, create an area where you can manage that, and then you'll be able to manage it a lot better. So LinkedIn connection outreach, I walked through this last week, so I won't walk through it again. The only reason that I bring it up is because this is an example of automating a sales process or scaling it. First is the process, right? Okay, I determine that startup founders and small businesses are on LinkedIn. I'm going to reach out to them over and over and over and over until I realize what message has a super high hit rate. And then I go, oh, this message gets me above 50% response always. And I don't have to use any descriptive terms. Meaning I'm not going like, hey, I see you worked in X, Y, and Z. It's like, this is a message that could be sent to 1,000 people. Well, if it's working and it's general, maybe I should try that. That's when we go to the, okay, now I can copy paste this over and over because now it's structured. Well, what if I just didn't have to do that? Because now I know that the text works, and if I can get my filters right, I can just connect the two, and then I'll have automated sales lead gen. And then I did that, and then it worked, right? But it didn't work because I started with an automated sales lead gen process. The first thing I started with was, how does my customer think about their problem? How can I frame what I'm offering to clearly show them that what I will give them will solve their problem? Then it's, how do I start that conversation in a way that isn't a direct sales pitch, because I'm not really the cold call-y guy, but I like meeting people and connecting. Oh, okay. Well, I should probably just do general networking calls, because if someone's willing to network with me, they're going to ask what I do, and if there's an opportunity to collaborate, that'll come up naturally in meeting. So then I built a networking message that was just something to the effect of, hey, I'm in the startup space. I love to meet with founders and do mentorship and connect. Let me know if you'd like to chat sometime in the next week. Here's my Calendly link. Generic, open-ended. The people that wanted to talk to me seemed to want to talk and book the Calendly link themselves. Once on those meetings, the discovery happened. Wasn't every meeting was a close. It wasn't every single thing, but it became so efficient. But it became efficient at the end. I put in the first 500 hours of pain, but then it was nice because then as soon as that was done, I just turn on the light switch and it works. The problem is everybody goes, light switch doesn't turn on, and they go, I'll figure it out later. And guess what? They have an automated sales process that's just like automatically burning bridges instead of automatically generating leads. Common pitfalls. I am a big fan of never be arrogant. Never assume it doesn't apply to you. If the second you do assume it doesn't apply to you, give it a week. I bet you it does apply to you. I bet whatever you think didn't does. First, lack of clear targeting. Who are you targeting? And if you go, Aaron, I'm targeting multiple people. Great. If you want to do multiple people, everything just gets done multiple times. So it's like, oh, well, I target men and women here, and then elderly here and this. It's like, great, men and women. We're going to do the whole sales process just for them. And then I hope you can carve out another Saturday, and we're going to do the whole sale. Like, it's not like, oh, we're going to just merge them all together. Sounds like too complex. Sounds too generic. I want small, focused. Second is neglecting follow-up. How many of you have follow-ups that you know you should have sent yesterday? I do. I have things on my to-do list that I wish I had gotten done yesterday. Well, you also have follow-ups that you could do today. Let this be a small bit of encouragement. Again, I'm right there with you. I'm encouraging myself. Let's do our follow-ups. There are absolutely ones that you could send tonight that could make you money or could move your business forward. Third, over-reliance on paid strategies. I hear this all the time. A word of advice. This is also the classic sign of the less experienced founder. If someone walks up to me and goes, oh, why do I need sales? I can just pay for ads. That is the easiest way to have an investor not invest. I'll just be very clear. Because investors don't like that energy, right? It's, why should I put in work when I could just spend your money? It's basically what you're saying, right? And maybe that's not the best way to say it, especially if you're saying, why should I put in work? Why can't I spend your money before I do any work? Why can't I just throw money at the problem, like ads, do no sales, do no biz dev, not really connect with my customer that much, and why won't the business work? That's what founders are really saying when they say, can I just do paid ads? They don't hear it. But for people that have been on this side 1,000 times, I do hear it. Because when I see founders that go, I'm going to tons of events, again, let's assume the events are the right events, they're not just going to network. They go, I'm doing this, I'm getting leads, I'm trying to do this, like, I don't know. And I go, man, it sounds like you're working a lot. Have you tried paid ads? And they go, I don't know, I just don't really have the budget for it. I'm like, you don't need a lot of money. Let's take what you've done, let's get some brand activation, but notice they're getting pushed towards it, they're hesitating. Why? Because they're in the hustle, they're grinding, they're getting stuff done. The paid ads help accelerate things and grow them. Sometimes they don't work to start, and sometimes you run out of money before they work to start, because a lot of times what happens is this. Someone has no content, no ads, no brand, an average website, and then they go and they spend $5,000 on Facebook ads and people. And then they come to me and they go, ads don't work. Ads don't work for you. There are plenty of people that could make an ad today and make money on it today. And it's not like they have access to different ad software. They just know what they're selling and know how to sell it better and have a better sense of their audience. But notice they're at like the top of the skill tree in that. If you are that, great, use it. If you have a friend that is that, great, use it. But if you're going to spend $5,000 and at the end go, I feel really discouraged, I don't want to do it again, I would go, don't do it in the first place. Go put in the sweat equity work, build the knowledge, build the creds. So that way when you do go spend the $5,000, you go, all right, I'm going to spend this $5,000, but I know exactly who I'm targeting. I want to target half to this group, half to this group. Here are the keywords that this group cares about. I know because I spoke to 30 of them. Here are the words that this group cares about. Here's how they... If you're talking to your ad person, or you're talking to yourself as the ad person, they should be overwhelmed by the amount of information you're giving them. They should go, whoa, I don't know if we can target all that. That's a great sign. Because that means you're speaking to them clearly, with direction, with an area of focus. And then they can go, you want to target... Well, we can't target people by the amount of money they make, but we can target them by zip code. Okay, you say you want this group and this group, so let's look at a demographic map online. Where do these types of people are? Where's the highest income for these types of people? We're going to target these zip codes. It's like, that is a marketer. And that, I'm more confident, even if it doesn't deliver cash immediately, it'll deliver great knowledge. Far more than, oh, we spent $5,000 to boost our post on Facebook. We got 300 likes, no comments. I don't get it. It's like, yeah. Did you have a funnel? Did you have content? When they saw the first thing, like, if you just saw me run a YouTube video ad, and then you clicked on my profile and there were no other videos, wouldn't you be a little suspicious? It's like, yeah, well, consider it reasonable that somebody else would be suspicious as well. It's fair. Ignoring customer feedback, I don't think I really need to say anything more on this, but if you think you know you're right and the customer is telling you you're wrong, I'm more inclined to believe them. Does it mean that everything they say is right? No. Does it mean that everything you say is wrong? No. Does it mean that you're a bad person or they're a bad person for it? Absolutely not. Remember, this is not about feelings. This is not about how our connection, because you having a bad business doesn't make you a bad person, because your business can get good, right? I'm just 5'8". I'm never going to be more than that. But you can change things, right? This can't be changed. That can be changed. It's okay for this to be bad and it to get better. It's bad if you just go, oh, it's got to be perfect from day one. Then I wouldn't start a business, because the business owner that's willing to be wrong and lose and struggle and genuinely seek knowledge, not just be wrong because they refuse to listen, but be wrong because they keep trying, they will win. It's the people that go, I'm going to do it my way. And it's like, well, I hope you have the money or the knowledge or you're that 1% person, right? Because everybody else is really trying to do it the customer's way, and they seem to be winning. The most successful CEOs that I know about all talk about the customers. What's the number one, like, most loved shoe company in the world by the employees? Zappos. Their own employees love the company so much. That's how good their culture and service and how much they care about the customer. It's like, and I know that. Why would I know how employees care about their company? It's like, do you know how strong your brand affinity has to be for that to happen? That's a good thing. Inconsistent messaging. This is you're going out and pitching 7 different things or 7 different features every night of the week. It's not that you can't change things. It's not that you shouldn't change things, but try to stick to the same script for a little bit. Give it time to like mature. I see some people that they go try 7 different sales pitches in one night. And it's like, well, it's like, yeah, you can if you're really good at sales. Maybe you're testing a bunch of stuff out, but maybe you need to like give one some time to marinate. Maybe you need to like focus on a feature and talk about it from the pain points. Talk about it from the goals. Talk about it casually. Talk about it formally. Give things time to breathe. And if you do, maybe you'll learn something really interesting. Underestimating the power of networking. A lot of people want to be the one-man, one-woman army. It's very hard. And you do not need a big network. Very, very small networks are incredibly powerful. A small group of 3 people that you meet for lunch once a month and you refer each other a few pieces of business will deliver more money for your business than 1,000 fancy conferences ever will. Always. Now, if you know how to do conferences really, really well, you can get a lot done at them. But especially if you're new and you're still learning, what can we do to get more wins sooner? Lack of measurement and optimization. I won't go, too much into this, but pretty clear. If you don't measure it, how are you going to improve it? How are you going to know if it's working? And it's not about optimizing. It's about, just like anything else, when I tell you, tell me the action, tell me the impact. If you just tell me the action, it's an incomplete sentence. We only optimize what works. We never care about optimization generally. Again, at least in this class. We care about, I optimize this process that works. Unless it ends with that works, that is repeatable, that is consistent. Skip the automation part. Why? Because there's other things that can be done. You don't need to automate it to make it better. I automated my LinkedIn by realizing what type of message would work well and then copy pasting it off of a notepad. And that, when I say the improvement, it's like imagine you typing every message and then going to copy pasting. You could probably change your output by 500%. You know what I mean? Doesn't need to be infinitely scalable for it to be worth it. I went from reaching out to 10 people to 50 people to 500 people instantly by copy pasting. And then after that, it was, I'll reach out to 1,000 people a week. But notice how confident I was in those because I had taken the time. Failure to adapt to market change. This is in part listening to the customer, but it's listening to the customer at a larger scale. It's what do customers want? If you charge a bulk price for something that the market has determined, whether it's recently or in recent years or near term, should be a service, should be recurring revenue, should be a low fee regularly, and you're the only one in town that charges the large fee, there's 2 outcomes. Either 1, you get a bunch of people that you learn they love the large fee and they prefer it, or 2, you make less money than everybody else. And notice there wasn't your competitor that pushed you out. It wasn't your failure to innovate and da-da-da. It was because you weren't looking at the market as a whole. This is another reason why I like going to those big generic conferences. Because I just go, what's going on in your world? And then people tell me about energy, or they're talking about consumer, they're talking to me about fashion, talking about food. And I go like, oh my God, that's really interesting they do that there. Oh, I wonder if that... And then the whole web connects, right? But it connects because of that. What's going on in the market? The general... This is the market right here. You guys are representative of the early stage market, right? This is a market test in its own way. Spreading efforts too thin. Do less. When you come into my office hours, many of you have, and you come with lists. First of all, I love it. I appreciate it because I want to get through things. I want to help you with stuff. We can chat and hang out and whatever, but let's get some stuff done. We have the time. Why not? But the biggest is I'd rather you come in with 2 asks, 3 asks, Not because you can't have 10, you probably do and it's fine, but because I want you focused. When you say you're going to get something done, the next week I want it done. I don't care if the whole thing is, Aaron, I'm just going to try and get a customer interview done this week. Great. But forget everything else. Can you get that one done? Because we can take that 1 to 2. We can grow these things. But if we have a list of 30 things and the next week you go, I was really busy and I got this and my kid was doing, it's like, I get it. Every excuse is valid, but the excuses don't change the outcome. And I want the outcome for you. And I'm willing to fight with you a little bit in between if it helps you get closer to that outcome. So the perfect example of this is, I'll give you the easiest one. If you have a social media channel that you're using for customer acquisition, 1. And you should be all over it. Meaning, I meet lots of people that they have 10 social media channels and their Pinterest hasn't had a post until 4. It's like, that's a problem, right? I'd rather you go, yeah, we only have Instagram, but we use every feature on Instagram. We use every feature on Instagram the day it comes out. We get 500 comments a day on Instagram. We respond to every single one of them. Why? Because we only have to open one account. And every time I can, I just open that one account. Facebook, whatever. LinkedIn, whatever. I'm just hammering it. Not because the other ones don't matter, but because if you don't get one of them done well, keeping all of them lukewarm active does not win. But if all of them burn but one, you can still win. The problem is nobody likes to see, oh, but I should be focused on, it's like, yes, you should. But we're in the basic world. Let's get one win on the board first. Because the second you pass the first 5, 10, 20,000 followers, and these seem like impossible numbers, they are not. Because there are people that have started, that you scroll on your feeds and you see worse content than you would ever produce in your whole life that has hundreds of thousands of views and likes and comments. Just like you can't judge your products because it's up to the customer, you can't judge your content. Because what if someone finds it really interesting and helpful, right? And again, I'm not assuming everybody has to create face-forward videos of whatever. This isn't me saying that. It's if content's relevant for you, then I would treat it as relevant and really lean into it. I wouldn't, half it. I would really try and get into it. If content isn't relevant for you, sales probably is pretty relevant. Biz dev is probably pretty relevant. There's a world where all 3 are relevant, but there's definitely a world where one of the 2 sides is relevant. If you go, oh, marketing is super important, great. Which accounts or accounts do you have, and how are you using it? Today, tomorrow, what's your plan? Or if you go, we don't really do any marketing, I go, great. When's your next sales meeting? When's your next biz dev event? When's the next thing you're going to? Because we can only get customers a few ways. You have to text them, you have to call them, you have to get in front of them, we have to market to them. We only have these limited channels, right? And when you're texting people, when you message your friend and go, hey, will you try this thing? That's sales. That's just sales with a warm lead. So a good note on this, and I encourage it. I get reports on it all the time that it's helpful, so hopefully it helps you. Put a little version of yourself on your shoulder when you're online and start watching yourself in the world and in your content. So, for example, if I'm scrolling on Instagram and I stop at a post, part of me stops and sees the post and chuckles, and the other part of me goes, damn, why did I stop? What got me? Was it the image? Was it the sound? Was it the caption? Was it the comments? Were the comments really funny? Like, how did I lose? Because I lost there, because they stopped me. What gets you? Because remember, in a perfect world, you are your customer, and we should all assume we are just average people, averagely representing our customer's experience. What gets you will get them. And that's a great thing, because that means you just create content that you would like. Look at the stuff that gets all your attention, everything that gets your attention that's like businessy, bookmark it. And then later when you go, I have no idea how to make content. It's like, well, here's a whole carousel of stuff that you absolutely, it's non-negotiable. You mark that you like it. So now it's like, oh, well, this one's like teaching a thing. Great. Can you teach a thing? Because no one's ever going to remember the first video anyway. First video, first conference, first this. It's the best part. You can do all of this stuff infinitely and nobody cares, nobody remembers. And if you want proof, Think about all the crazy, insane, embarrassing stuff that you've read about YouTubers and celebrities and people that run private equity firms and CEOs, and notice how none of them are that bothered. You've seen the craziest stuff on the planet come out about people, and they're just like at a restaurant the next day eating. Nothing that you post is going to be half as crazy as what's already online. Post. Engage, right? Connect with people, connect with others, and find that way to build that sales product, that product customer fit. Last page, these are just key assets that I would recommend that if you don't have them, you build them quickly because you will end up using them. I use 100% of these basically every single day. 1, a quality website. Not 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 is good enough, but quality, again, it's very simple. Does it represent your brand? And is any part of it bad? Remember, our scale, 1 to 5. No 3s. None of your websites are 3s. They're either a 4, and if they're not a strong 4, they're a 2. We need them to be 4s. And if you wonder what a 4 looks like, I do this all the time. Go to Crunchbase. Go to, what I do very often, you can create a free trial, you can go to anywhere. I'm going to filter for pre-seed and seed companies that have been founded in the last year that are funded. And then I go to the industry that I'm in, and then I just go open like 30 of their websites. And I go, all right, well, they were only funded this year, which means they've only had this year to build this, which means this is only a year away. And they're really trying to get customers right now, which means every single thing on their websites is built to get customers. And I have 30 of them that I can click on every single link. I can read every single thing. I can feed every single data point to ChatGPT. There is no excuse to not have a decent website because your competitors are giving you free UI UX, free language, free everything. And remember, not just your competitors, because I'd go, oh, I wonder how small business consultants that do marketing pitch their services. I'm going to go read. And then I read like 5 of them, and I go, you know what? I do like how they do that part. I'm going to add that part to my website. That cost me no money. Because notice, what did I do? I just went on their website and scrolled. And I just waited till something caught my eye. And I went, look, they got me. Because I'm doing it all the time, every piece of content. I'm like, damn, that's a good graphic. That graphic made me connect with what they were saying. I wonder if I need graphics. But notice, I don't assume. I don't assume I'm right. I don't assume they're right. I try. This is the essence of critical thinking, the art of asking good questions. Going like, how? And could this? Should this? Nah. And you go to the next one. Critical thinking and discernment. Can I ask the right questions? And can I make the right decisions when I do? And the only way you get better at both of these is practice. Pure and simple practice. When you go to events, try and ask questions. Try and learn. Here's the easy example. You ever hired someone, regretted hiring them, and then the next time it was so obvious why you shouldn't have hired someone like them? Because like the signal, that's discernment. That's you going like, nope, I played this game before. No. Or you see patterns from one to another. These are good things. Active social media profile, 1 or 2 is better, is focused always. Email list or CRM. Everyone needs an email list. If you do not have an email list, please promise me you'll start building it now. Because whether it's now or 6 months from now, even if you go, Aaron, I will never send a newsletter in my whole life. Great, I don't believe you. How about that? I don't believe you. So please do it anyway. Go gather all the emails, go get everything you have, because eventually you're going to want to send an email to people. And you do not want to be Sunday night wanting to send the email on Monday going like, how do I get everybody's stuff? It's like some people's is in Gmail and some's in HubSpot and some's on my phone. These are problems to start figuring out now. You have all the time in the world right now. If you have 10,000 customers or 10,000 people in your contacts, you're like, I'm never going to filter all these people. I bet 100 a weekend looks different in 6 months. I bet you can get quite a bit done if you're willing to put on stupid Netflix and scroll and be like, nah, irrelevant, delete. It's like, you can get, and that's, our email list, and I say this confidently because I did this exact exercise, watched a lot of Netflix. I took it down from like 6,000, 5,000 people to 2,000 people in my CRM. You know what happened, which was really great? I went on to Beehive, that new email newsletter thing, and I was like, I'm going to try and send a newsletter and see how it goes. I sent a newsletter. The first newsletter, because I had spent so much time cutting all of those people and seeing who was relevant, had like an 80% open rate. And I immediately started getting offers from people that wanted to try and advertise on my newsletter. So my little newsletter that didn't mean anything to nobody nowhere already had the potential to make 4 figures in a month. Now, is that any money? Not really, you know what I mean? But is that, if you had an extra $1,500 to spend on marketing, would you be happy? Yeah. If you had 2,000 people that you knew would open an email to 60, 70, 80%, would you be happy? Yeah. It's like, we can start that. They're both totally accessible, but they start today. Written bio. Eventually you'll need it, and you'll need it. Hey, can you send over a quick bio? And you're not going to want to sit there and do a 45-minute exercise of who you are and, we are the world and blah, blah, blah. Write a bio. And the bio is very simple. What have you done in the past that is relevant to today, and what are you doing today? Hey, my name is Aaron Chavez. I come from a background of finance and investment banking. I opened a consulting firm. I did X, Y, and Z, and now I run X, Y, and Z studio, etc. It's like, oh, yeah, I could have said whatever, and there's 1,000 little random experiences I excluded, but I connected the things that were relevant. Oh, background in finance. That probably means he's a numbers guy. Started a consulting business. Oh, so he works like one-on-one with people. Now he does this. Like, I'm building a very mini narrative. What is the concise narrative for your business? How do I logically connect you from A to B, right? And I know there's 20 minutes of conjecture and context that are necessary. Notice how there wasn't. Skip all the context. You can just make statements. You can just go, I've been into engineering and development my entire life, and eventually I started a community, and it grew to hundreds of people, and now I manage an even larger community. It's like, great. Notice the connection. Development, community was good, bigger community. That works. These are good things. Relevant headshot. I say relevant because it's not about 3-piece suits and ties and whatever. That's not the game we're playing. If I needed to put you on a slide with some peers, how would you look? Is it like a law firm? All their photos are in suits in black and white? Great. We should have some suits in black and white and color images. If all of the photos are t-shirts and chillin' or blazers, should probably have some of those. Not because we're all trying to be one person and blah, 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 but because you're going into a room. You're trying to fit in, right, in this way. Be innovative, have crazy accessories, be totally an outfit extraordinaire after the first exit. Let's just get that first exit under the belt. Then you can wear whatever you want to any event, and I'll be standing right there with you. It'll be great. But it's like, get the first exit done, because then you've got the creds, right? Then you're respected. Could I go into the average hedge fund, blah, blah, blah world and talk to them enough to like get them, oh, he's a finance guy, I believe him. But if I walked in right now like this, what do you think they would think, right? It's like, yeah. Would you blame them? No. I'm going to go into Chipotle. Chipotle sounds good. Now, the one-pager. One-pagers mean a lot of things. It's some people give me a one-pager, which is like their entire pitch deck in like 0.4 font. It's crazy. Other people give me a one-pager, which is just like high-level graphics. The way I like to think about it is someone will come to you at some point and go, hey, do you have any materials on that thing you're doing? Just send me whatever you have, just something on it. Welcome to the ask. This is true entrepreneurship. This is how they ask it. They don't give you any, you're like, what the hell? It's like, here we go. The very basics. What do you offer? Who do you offer it to? What does it cost? And if the cost is different, custom quote. Notice how simple things can be. Yeah, it can be pretty. Yeah, it can have 100 things. But eventually, especially imagine if you're doing biz dev. This is especially important. I'll give you the exact scenario. I do biz dev with tons of attorneys. And attorneys come to me and they ask one question. Hey, do you have a one-pager that I could share with any of my clients if you come up? Yep, it's in your inbox. Because I could plan for that so long ago because I went through the first 10 meetings and I didn't have one. And I went, damn, these lawyers keep asking me for this. I don't know what they want on it. I'm just going to make one and let's see how it goes. First one I made, I remember, they're like, this is a lot of text. And I was like, ooh, if a lawyer's overwhelmed by the amount of text, that's a bad sign. But notice, it's like, I felt dumb on that meeting. Absolutely. but I wasn't dumb the next meeting. And that meeting was 3 years ago. Haven't been dumb on that since. That's a good thing. Thanks for coming to week 4.